Hello, hello. Hey, welcome. This is the first episode of that Minis Paint Show. My name's Reed Denton. Today we're going to be working on a white dragon. You can see here and see on the paint table here. We're excited to be doing this today. Oops, never do that sideways. If you've never painted before, we're going to try to make it easy and explain everything that we do as we do this. And at the same time, we're going to try to play some icy cold music that matches what we're painting today. A big thanks to Tabletop Audio for providing a lot of the sound and ambiance for us today. We're really excited to see some of that and get that going for us. We're also really excited to use some of the Army Painter paints for the most part today, as well as their brush sets. So if you've never seen any of that stuff, or if you have questions, feel free to hit me up in chat. As I look through this stuff, take a look, ask questions. I'll try to check chat as we go. Thanks for the D&D Beyond overlay for letting me know about that. I'll see what I can do to get that solved here shortly. Don't worry about it for now. We'll get it shut off. But for now, just stick to what we're doing here and take a look at the icy white dragon that we're going to paint up today. So we're going to do a couple different things. So I'm going to just step over to the palette here, transition over to a single camera view so you get a better view of what we're doing, and go from there. Okay, so hold on one second while I set up a quick transition here from this so we can see that, and we'll go from there. Let's see here. Maybe I can't do that. I'll figure it out. Hey, thanks Scaredy Ginge for helping me out on this. I'm trying to manage the transition and see chat from my phone. So switching over to Twitch on my phone here, so I can at least see what you guys are saying while I paint. This way I can keep up with it. I think I'll just use the search feature here. And go from there. Pull it up. And I am live. Alrighty. Excellent. Okay. So what we're going to do is just kind of give you guys some examples. I'm using a variety of brushes. I'm using Wargamer's Regiment brush. I'm using the monster brush. I'm using the small dry brush. I'm using the large dry brush. I'm using the highlighting brush. I have the Wargame detail brush, the precise detail brush, and a second precise detail brush in case I need to switch colors quickly. I keep these all handy because I use them pretty consistently. One of the things that I try to do when I'm painting is I try to do a mise en place, which means a place for everything. I think chefs do something similar to that, mise en place, I think it's called. The paints we're going to use today are going to start with dark tone. And then we're going to start with a brain matter beige and a matte white. For the underbelly, we're going to do a blue tone and then a ice storm blue. We have a void shield blue for the eyes. And then for the mouth, we're looking at Pixie Pink and Warlock purple. Hopefully these will be interesting as we go. Starting today, we're going to go with the dark tone on the body and then go from there. So the way I like to do this is I use a palette, full-size palette, and I paint on the palette. Because I'm trying to get this done pretty quick, I'm just going to put a little bit with the dropper bottle like that. And when I need a little more, I'll get a little more. This way nothing gets wasted. I'm just going to use this, whoops, not that brush, monster brush, and I'm going to load the brush with the darker wash. And then what I'm going to do is, holding the feet, I'm going to make sure I execute on the body by hitting all the scales. And the great part about the wash is it will soak into all the crevices as we go. I'm going to hit the whole body with this, but I'm going to avoid hitting the wings and the underbelly completely with it. The underbelly, not at all. The wings, I'm going to touch the bottoms up so it's darker at the bottoms, and then I'll go from there. And you can see the wash starting to get into the crevices. That's exactly what you want, is to get into those crevices. And I'll tease it out to go as much or as little as I need it to go in and out. I've primed the model with the Army Painter's gray primer. I forget the exact name of the color, but it's the reason I like the Army Painter is because it color matches with the hand or the paint pot paints that they make as well. So if you miss a spot, you don't have to go back over it with primer all again. You can just hit it and touch it up right there. Now the reason I'm going with the wash first is this allows me to get in the crevices and then dry brush up the layers from that. The great part about the washes is they really do work well inside these crevices. They add a nice shading effect. That's really what I'm looking for here to get those cracks. Now a lot of people, they try to do the whole dragon in a blue wash and stuff like that, and for some people that's an absolutely wonderful idea. It gives you a lot of options there too if that's the kind of color style you want. It's just not the look I'm going for today. Getting the legs here. And then when I use an overbrush technique with the whites, you'll see how fast that'll add those detail levels. What are the hobby products everybody else is working on these days, right now? Uh-oh. Internet connectivity issue still? Huh. Well, we are hardwiring that in the next few days here. I've got the cable already ready to go. Just waiting to set that up. Just so I get the light here. Okay. This white dragon is the white dragon from Reaper Miniatures, by the way. They make a pretty good line of alternative miniatures that you can use for your games or for your set pieces, depending on what your goal is with your miniature painting. We're painting this one up for tabletop use. In games, so we're going to do some things a little differently than we would for a say a painting tournament or for a diorama display. You guys see that okay? Let me get the tail here. And this will hopefully add a nice gradient in as we dry brush over this as well. And a dry brush is a really simple technique. It creates a very, very easy way to apply a light layer of color without getting too much on the model, and it lets the cracks and crevices of the model do the work for you. Between washes and dry brushes, you know, it's almost too easy. The hardest part is just making sure you get all the details so you don't miss a spot. And a little bit of due diligence goes a long way. Okay. All right, sounds like we're back on now. That's good. Okay, that gets the bottom half. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work on the top half, the arms, the chest, the head, and some of the areas of the wings to get all of that knocked out. Add a little more dark tone, see what we can get done here. Now I know this seems kind of antithetical to painting a white dragon. Why would you go so dark? And it'll all make sense once the white starts getting applied. As you see, the details get picked out on the high points on the model. So I was excited to get this model. What do you guys, I've asked out to chat several times, but I haven't seen anybody respond. Anybody else painting anything interesting today? Yes, no, maybe? Yeah, with a blue wash, so it looks a little more translucent when we hit it, if that makes any sense. And I don't mind if a little goes over, that adds to the shading effect, but we definitely want to provide a little more. Alright. And it's not too rough to just tease it out as you need to, a little at a time, just to get those edges just so. Anybody else paint dragons? No? Hmm. And 90% of this is just teasing it in place. So it gets those recesses. I think Winter Forest is playing now from Tabletop Audio. Yeah, I've got some technical difficulties for those of you who are texting me. But I appreciate everybody hanging in there. This should get a lot smoother now, I think. I have to be careful what we paint on the show because I don't want to reveal to my players what they may be facing next. So I often have to do things out of order or do things that I just won't actually be using on the players as I go. All right, almost done with the dark tone here on the wings. Then we're gonna give it a minute to dry. I'm gonna talk to the camera a little bit, and then we'll switch to a blue wash. I'll get a little more on this edge here. There we go. Just a smidge more. There we go. All right. Let that dry for a bit. The only trouble with this particular model is it didn't come with a base, so you have to custom make a base for it if you want to use one. So, one of those things that you get used to over time. So, as we let the dark tone dry, we're gonna... Wow, what's going on here? Am I still doing technical difficulties? All right, so we're gonna let that have a moment. Then we're gonna switch over to the blue tone. The blue tone is gonna allow me to have the translucency with the wings. Make the underbelly kind of a slightly different hue that creates a different effect, really adding some pop and some difference in the overall outer scales versus the slick underbelly of the dragon. One of the things I'll mention is I don't like to go straight to white. I like to layer up to white normally. As soon as we will then switch over to an Ice Storm blue on the underbelly. So it's just light enough in a blue that it looks different, and then we layer that up again with a white as well. So it highlights and builds some depth to the model as well. So hopefully you guys find that to be interesting once we get to that point. It's now 7:42, so we've made a lot of progress very quickly. Rinse my wash in the colors paint pot. Again, this is the blue tone right here. I don't know how well you can see that with the here. Maybe that's a little better. Blue tone. Blue tone's a really good choice for this. Just to kind of do a little cleanup here. One of the great things about these palettes is they clean fairly easily. Take a look, see here, and add a little blue. There we go. Simple enough, right? Again, the Army Painter paints and brush line, I'm a pretty fond guy. I've used just about every brush type there is out there. The reason I like the Army Painter is they use Golden Sable, which is a higher quality brush for their natural follicles. And the brushes are usually pretty well put together. I've only had one brush out of all of the ones I've ever owned have a problem, and that was resolved right away, just better. And because we did such a stellar job with the black before, this should go pretty quickly. I am getting a few air bubbles here. I'm not sure what would cause that like that. I'll just have to go a little slower. You'll notice I'm getting inside the belly of this every chance, making sure it goes into the recesses, because that's where I really want the darkness to pool and shade. Hence the reason it is a shade wash. Yeah, the blue is working out beautifully. I don't know how well you guys can see that at home, but the blue is really sinking in there. Doing a great job. Let me see if I can't get a little wire over there. You see that? Yeah. Well, we look forward to getting an overhead light on this here shortly, as opposed to side lighting only. Uh-oh. That was just a light bouncing. Sounded a lot worse than it was. From here you can see how much we're getting the inside of the tail here and making it work. Transition back to a single camera so you guys can see this better. Alrighty. Just a little bit more in there and we'll be good to go. Alrighty. Alright, next up, toughest part, the membranes on the wings. So this is where we spread it really good. This is where the monster brush really comes in handy. The reason I use the larger brush for this is it's just that much easier to work with. You know, trace the the edges of the thicker areas, and then go from there. And your goal is to create a nice thin sheet without any real heavy lines indicating where the wash is or isn't. If I have a choice, I'll go darker at the top of the wing and then lighter toward the end of the wing. But that's just because naturally that's where the shade would fall. And go from there. And then I'm going to go across to match the wing membrane just a wee little bit. Yeah. It doesn't have to be perfect, because remember, we're going to dry brush right through that. This just adds a nice undercolor that will slightly show through. And that's what we're going for. Just a light undercolor that shows through the white a little bit. And it's okay if I accidentally go over a little of the black or the dark tone that I was using before, because the dark tone's darker. So it's not really going to be noticed. Can't really make it that much darker. And that was also done on purpose to, you know, just keep this faster. Switch sides. I love having this music in the background because it gives me such a really cool ambiance to work with as I paint. It kind of sets the tone a little bit. Scaredy Ginge, can you tell me what I should be updating it to from D&D to, is it miniatures painting, or what should I be doing it to? See here. Where would I go back to do that? where do I change the category, guys? Help me out here, because I'm trying to find out where I do that. I'm going to account settings. That's not it. Help me out. Twitch Prime, channels and videos. Let's see here. Add-ons. Okay, thanks. Scaredy Jen just helping me behind the scenes via our Discord. By the way, if you haven't been on our Discord, if you check out our Discord, first chance you get, you'll find a wonderful community of people who are excited to play games, talk about them, and nerd out something fierce. So, let's see here. Edit stream info. Ah, thank you. There we go. Edit stream info. Nope, nothing there specifically for painting miniatures. Stand by. Let me set that up. Alrighty then. Okay, everybody can see me now, hopefully. We had a glitch. We popped in and out. We're good to go. Looks like we're back. So, alrighty. Now for the rest of this wing. White dragons are supposed to be the least intelligent of all the white dragons, but that doesn't make them any less cruel of the evil dragons. If anything, it probably makes them more cruel. Gonna need a little more wash here, a little more tone. You know, I still learn new techniques all the time for painting from just every painter I've ever met. You never know, from the youngest to the oldest. People who've been painting far longer than me and people who haven't painted anywhere near as long as I have. And it's always exciting to learn a new technique. And I think keeping an open mind when someone shows you their model allows you to see a new way to do the same kinds of things just faster, or with more detail, or with more pop or richness. It's just one of those things that I've been able to pick up on. And I've noticed something else about the best painters, even the ones that are far better than me, is they tend to be very open-minded and humble about painting in general. And you know, they know they're good, but they're, you know, definitely open-minded about being better and finding new ways to do the same thing from wherever it's revealed. So if you're new or if you're old at painting, it doesn't matter. You can still be amazing at this, and you should be excited as you learn to paint. Hopefully I get a chance to see my friend 1 Inch Heroes out here painting soon. You know, we're talking about having him on stream for an exciting day. I think this one's called Frozen Ocean. I'll tell you which one this one is. Sea of Floating Ice. Sea of Floating Ice. It's a fantastic piece. that takes care of the blue under the belly and on the wings. So we'll give that a minute to dry. I'm going to clean the brush. One of the things to remember about brushes is until the brush no longer shows anything color-wise on it, it's not clean. I'll just wipe this off real quick. Get a good scrub. The great thing about the palettes that I use is they are really good for cleaning easily, despite what other palettes get made from. I'm really big on ease and effectiveness when it comes to cleanup as well. One of those things that you gotta do at the end of every paint session is clean up. So just one of the things to consider. So let's see here. And let me see. Interesting. Okay. So, I'm not sure how many watchers we've got right now. Yeah, it still says D&D because there is no miniature. You can't turn the overlay off the way we want to yet. We'll have to figure that out. I'll work on the lights as best I can. Thanks, Jeff, for giving me that information. The only thing I can do is tag it to say painting and miniatures in play. So one of the things to come up with. And because it is a D&D miniature, it counts. So oh, I see. The art is the category. Yeah. Yeah. We'll see what we can do. As to the D&D overlay, the overlay is for our show Whiskey, Magic, and Destruction, which shows every Thursday here on the Games Tavern Network from 7 to 10 Eastern Standard Time on this same network. So if you get a chance this Thursday, definitely pop over, take a look at it. It's a great show, including Scaredy Ginge and quite a few other people that are exciting to watch and interact with. Their last adventure, they got left with a shady deal, and now the question is are they going to fulfill it or not? We'll see what the party decides on our next show. I just want to give the wash a little bit of time to dry, because if it doesn't dry and you hit it with paint, it will really be, it's just a big bag of awful that you do to your model at that point. So another tip I'll share with you. You notice how I have two mugs, one here and one here, and both the mugs say, either colors or metallics on it. But I also use this mug to drink with. And why is it so different from the others? Well, if you've ever painted for an extended period of time, it's fairly easy to pick up the wrong paint water mug and accidentally drink out of that instead of your beverage of choice, either coffee or Coke or cocktail or whatever it is you drink when you're painting. So one of the things I do is I always have a slightly different mug. Okay. Can you give that a minute? Hey, while we're doing that, I'm going to go on a quick 10-minute break. I'm going to talk to my back-end people and see what we can do about that connection issue. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later. Bye. Stand by. Stand by. We'll be right back. Here we go. See you in 10 minutes. Hey, we're back. Thanks again for tuning in and watching us paint our dragon. I took the opportunity to add one more light above to see what we can get more detail here to make sure it's brighter so you guys can see more of the detail along this point here. Hopefully that all works out. Once we get the last little bit of the wash that's drying, we will be able to add the whites and layer up from there. I think you'll find that to be an interesting thing. As you see the details get picked out along the scales of the dragon itself. I don't know how well you can see it on this particular one, but there's scales all along here. Here, I'll show it here. Scales all along here that will really be picked up by the white. I think the gray makes it tough to see sometimes on camera, but once that white hits it, it'll really pop. And you can see the blue as well on camera also. So, all right. As I said, this is our first time doing this, so we're going to work on what we can do to dial up some of the lighting and enhance the look a little bit and make this a much more interesting view for you guys, and then add some additional cameras possibly in the future as well. As you guys grow to support us, we'll definitely be excited to add more options and features into this for you guys. So bear with us as we grow. So now let's see here. So again, I refreshed while on break. I refreshed my my beverage, and Scaredy Gents, just for you, a cookie. I know how much you love cookies. So, all right. So, what's everybody painting? Anybody in chat that wants to tell me what they're painting? Jeff, I know you're in chat. What are you painting these days? Anybody? Jeff is typing. No? No? Maybe? Anytime? Ah, there we go. Yeah, I'll bet you do. I'll bet you do. We can definitely do some of those on here too. Oh yeah? What color are you painting as armor? Greens and browns, as befitting a paladin of yours. For those who don't know, Jeff is actually on our an upcoming show that we're in development for right now, and he's been the hero behind the scenes on our Thursday show as well. So we look forward to seeing him on camera here soon. All right. And Scaredy Ginge, next week, do you want to paint your miniature maybe here in person? Maybe not. We'll see. And give yourself some credit there, buddy. So for the next stage, just to kind of bring it up here, we're going to be using 2 dry brushes. So these will look like this under the camera here. So you can see the flat edge versus the pointed edge. This is one of the unique features of a dry brush, and it flares a little bit. And that's okay because you want it to flare just a little bit so it adds the paint in a much more direct manner. For those of you guys who are friends of Duncan from old Games Workshop fame, who talks about 2 thin coats, dry brushing is a little bit different. Although when in doubt, it's better to go thin on dry brush and layer up than it is to go thick on dry brush and not have any other choice. So, so something to consider as well. All right, so for this next color, we're going to go with Brain Matter Beige. Brain Matter Beige. It's slightly white. It's slightly off-white, so just a smidge up from regular white. This will add a layered up color effect. I could go straight white, but then we'd have a little too much gray possibly showing underneath it as well. So one of the reasons I wanted to try this technique and layer up a little bit. For the underbelly, we're going to go with Ice Storm Blue. But we're going to start with the white first, because then if I get any spillover, I can cover it up with the Ice Storm Blue as opposed to the other way around. So let's see here. Oh, that's not good. Got to mix it up more. Got no pigment. See Amber Anna in our Discord chat, and she says she's unable to connect to our regular chat. I don't know why. Oh, there she is. She's in regular chat. Amber Anna, what are you working on for your miniature? Aren't you working on a cleric, I think? A dwarven cleric? Yep. Okay. Cool. Cool. We'll have to have you on and work on it. So with dry brushing, as opposed to regular painting, you normally want to go with, you thin your paint when you're regular painting to the consistency of melted ice cream. So it's thinned out just a smidge, not too much, not too little. With dry brushing, that's not as important. With dry brushing, you just go ahead and apply it to the brush like I just did. You can see it down here. Careful not to get it into the fairing or ferrule or whatever. And then what you want to do is you put it on the paper towel and you just go in big circles on a paper towel until there's hardly any showing. Right? But it's still there. Believe me, it's still there. To kind of show you an example of what we mean, as we hit it, you can see the lightning effect as it hits. Do a little more. Now I don't need this to turn bright white yet. What we're doing is we're layering up the color. This is going to hit the high points and layer it up. I will do this as many times as it takes to get to the effect that I want. Whoops, I almost just went straight in. Sorry about that. I was holding it off the camera, wasn't I? Huh? Here we go. You can start to see the details pick out of the face now with this technique in full swing. Yep, eventually. Oh, snap. Okay, saved. Forgot to do my dry. There we go. Good. Now don't forget, I almost forgot to get the inside of the legs here. You don't want to forget that. That would lose something for the model if I forgot that. You can start to see a lot more of the detail coming out on the dragon now, as you can see, thanks to the white from the brain matter beige. Again, that's brain matter beige, one of the better off whites out there that I like to use. The other reason I like the Army Painter paints for a lot of things is that they have dripper bottles, which means I don't use any more than I expect to. And it works out really well for me that way. All right, so we did our first coat of Brain Matter Beige. Now we're going to hit it one more time with a Brain Matter Beige coat. Just really bringing it out even more. Pull that lighter color on with another coat. You can start to really see the white start to show up as it gets hit by a second layer. This is one of the things that, you know, other people, they like try to speed through these things. This is one of those things where it's just better to do it multiple times, do a nice clean job with it, bring it out, make it pop, and you won't be sorry that you did so. Sometimes you need to rinse that brush. If you get a little bit of dried paint in there, looks like I got a little piece of dried paint. So just be careful. Scaredy Ginge, has your gnome come in yet? In this case, if I get a little of the white or the Brain Matter Beige on the rocks that this thing is standing on, it's okay, because I'll be going back over those stones here in a little bit anyway. It's not that big a deal. Tail top here. So you can see the difference between this side already and this side that I haven't hit yet, minus the tail here. So as we continue to brush, we're just going to really start to get it lighter and lighter, and brush with a little more vigor on the second coat if you haven't noticed yet. Oh, looks like it's the Here Be Dragons piece of the soundtrack again. I love it because it sounds like dragons actually fighting. If you have a battle scene where there's more than one dragon or good and bad dragons fighting, this is a fantastic sound system or sound effect to have in the background. Highly recommend it. I'm gonna turn it up a bit just so you guys can hear it better. Yeah. Smudge the teeth just a wee bit there. And this time I didn't do a dry brush. I went straight in because I want to get this dorsal really good in the deep area as well with this color, because this is the color that's going to be really underlaying everything else on the dorsal. These wing mounts real good. Yeah. Now just imagine dragons fighting over your party. Or the party trying to sneak their way past two dragons fighting each other for territory. There we go. What a good color difference that is. Really pops. Okay, and again, it's okay if I spill over a bit on the sides here. I fully intend to. This is just part of dry brushing. As long as I get the main color where it needs to be, the white will correct itself as we go. So, and there we go. Ooh. Need to thin that out a little bit. There we go. cricket, huh? Okay. That mouth is just angry. Perfect. All right. So, some basic colors, right? That's all I had to do. Basic cleanup. Now I can fold my towel a bit here. And next up, we're going to go with a straight up white. Sometimes you got to shake it up real good so that the suspension fluid and the pigment itself mixes really well. The band Imagine Dragons. Oh my gosh, that's so hilarious. R.E. Denton. Is that Ryan Edward Denton? Oh my goodness. Where do I buy and paint minis? Well, there's a number of different places you can buy and paint minis. Amazon has them. I prefer your favorite local area game store, if you can. So if you have a favorite local area game store, please tell us what it is. I know that during our live streams we try to make announcements about favorite local area game stores using our flags program, our favorite local area game store program. So something to consider. For paints as well, I typically buy from favorite local area game stores so I can take a look at the paint to see the quality of it. Just one of the things I highly recommend. Support your local game stores. They are the life's blood of what we do. I typically only go to mail order when I can't get it any other way. So for here, actually, we're going to swap up to a larger brush. So we're going to go to this brush. This brush is ridiculous in size, and I know it, and that's fine because this is about to be some hardcore, serious dry brushing. Yeah. We are not messing around with this. We're even going to hit the wings. And the great part about a miniature like this is that it has so much hidden texture that only comes out when you paint it with this technique. So the ripples in the wings, the various tears and rents that might be hidden in there, they show up best, as you can see from this, as the dry brushing goes in. Bear with me. The current sound should be Frozen Wastes. You can really start to see the detail pop now. The white's really starting to show with all the details on the scales themselves. And this is after just one coat of white. Still got to get the rest of the wings. Oh, snap, that's the wrong paint. See how much I can recapture here so I don't waste a bit. There we go. Got ahead of myself. Got excited. There we go. And I'm just gonna close that off. Get myself another paper towel from my paper towel dispenser. Oopsie. Fold that bad boy in half. R.E. Denton, are you still watching? Did I lose everybody? Who's still with me? Nope, I still got Tiny Orza. I got Amber Anna. Alrighty, good. Underside here, it's light blue streaks. Now to get the back of the wings. Oh, all the white paint already dried. Okay, time to get some more paint. Alright, so our first full coat of white has gone all over the model. And what you can see now is a lot more white is showing. A lot more of the dragon is now white, but what you also can see is all the details and shading between the scales. And this really adds some pop to a model. When we get to the final white highlight and the blue ice storm under the belly, that'll make it pop even more. And then once we get that done, we'll go with the Warlock purple and stuff inside the mouth. Hopefully that'll make it a nice, cool model to get done. I'm going to just add a smidge of water to this. It's been awfully thick for this particular batch. There we go. Now normally we don't want to do that because when you add water to it, it tends to thin it and it makes it harder to dry brush out. So we'll see what we get here with this. Start with the body here. Now what I'll do after the fact is I'll go back over and pick out the claws and teeth and so on with a little bit of yellow and brown at the base where it meets the maw, and then whiten it out as it goes out further if I feel it needs it. In this case we're doing so well, I don't know that we're going to need it to make it look good, but we'll see. Our goal is a good tabletop standard where it looks good, it evokes the visceral size, scale, majesty, and look of a white dragon without taking us a ton of time. The fact is we've done a really good job in, so far, just about 2 hours. And a lot of that is because two factors. Having the right paints in the first place and the right brushes, and then 2, making sure you set everything up ahead of time so you're not having to search for things in between each and every move when you're upgrading and updating your models here, when you're doing your paints and all that other stuff. Nubbin of something on there. All right. Good to see everybody still there. For something we'd spend time like for a competition or something along those lines, I'd probably wind up spending a week or more on this piece. But for the gorgeousness of Dungeons and Dragons and for tabletop, because everyone's going to put their hands on it, my only goal is to get it painted really well, and then what we'll do is we'll seal it with either a satin or a gloss or a matte finish, depending on how I want the end state to look. In this particular model's case, I'll probably do it with a matte finish. Maybe a satin finish. This does not strike me as a gloss finish model for what I'm doing here today. You can see how much more has come out. Hey RW, glad to have you. Sorry about the issues from before. Turn down some of the glacier noise here. What are you working on today, RW? Video's a bit choppy. Thanks for the heads up on that. Let me see here. We're doing 30 frames per second. Maybe once we go to hardwire, we can look at 60. Alrighty. You start to really see that white come out on the model. Now, give it a minute or two. The wings are starting to really whiten up, but you can see that bluish color in the white, in the wings and on the underbelly as well, even though we hit it with a slight coat of white there. You can see that blue coat. Now we're going to hit it with the Ice Storm dry brush here in a little bit, see what we can do, and then hit it again with the white and see if we can make it really pop here. When I build the base for this, chances are it's going to be something very icy. White dragons, I guess, they like to not only collect their treasures, particularly, you know, diamonds and other sparklies, but they also like to freeze them in ice to make it hard for others to steal it. And they stare at it through the very, very magically made ice breath weapons that they have. Excellent, excellent. All right. The great part about dry brushing is the paint is typically extremely dry very quickly after a dry brush session. So it usually doesn't mess with the model. Normally I wouldn't grab a model all over the place like this, except that the paint is pretty dry by the time it goes on. All right. So, hang on a second here. Oh, okay. So when I'm doing the fast technique on the dry brush, it misses. You know, that's probably going to happen. I think if we speed up to 60, we'll probably be able to catch that. I think that's going to be one of those things that should be pretty easy to work out here shortly. All right. This should be my last go of the matte white. At this point, I'm done working on the wings. I think the wings are pretty good as they are. They provide that whiteness with the blue effect that shows the membrane between. My goal is at this point is to really add some lightening white to the body in general. Brighten it up just a smidge more. Kind of hide some more of that gray if I can. And really make this a white dragon. If that makes any sense. Noticing some spots under the neck I can add a little bit more color to. Don't forget to get the insides of those legs. And again, if you don't like this particular way, you can also, instead of using a gray primer, go with a blue primer and make it more of an icy blue color. This is just how I like mine to look. I like to have a little darkness and then have the blue be the underbelly and the eyes and the mouth. I think it makes the other parts that are not blue, by having this much that isn't blue but is white, I think it makes it pop just a smidge more than it would normally. Okay, and that's our white. Alrighty. Gonna clean this brush, just bear with me. Okay. Now I'm going to switch back to my smaller dry brush again, and from here I'm going to try the Ice Storm on the underbelly. Oops, before I do that I should probably shake it up and mix it up a little bit. All right. There we go. Look at that color. Look at that color. That color is great. It's exactly what we're looking for. So again, this is what's going to go on the underbelly. This is Ice Storm Blue from the Army Painter. It's a really sharp color. It will add a nice icy color and contrast to the underbelly, as opposed to just straight white or a white and gray or a white and blue. By doing a blue underwash, it already changes the recess color as well for the shading, and I think it adds a nice accent throughout the model that you can see, and really highlights the difference between the vulnerable underbelly of the dragon versus the rest of it. Because isn't it always the underbelly that the knight in shining armor has to go after? And by hitting it earlier with a white, the high points are actually just a smidge brighter than the low points for this particular color. And that's not a bad thing. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's definitely a big difference. In the overall color. One of the things I'm doing also is I'm steadying my hand on the side of the table here, because when you do dry brushing as vigorously as I do, it can get out of hand pretty quick, especially with such a large model. Oopsie, almost messed that up. Okay. Now I'm going to do something a little bit different than probably what you've seen. Is I'm going to add a smidge of blue tone to the eyes, and while that's drying, I'm going to then add, I'm going to handle some other parts of the model, like the mouth and such. So by adding this wash in, it really adds to the recesses and darkens that blue, so that when we do the high point, it will pop that much more. There we go. And there we go. Yeah. Also going to get the side of the mouth here, because that is an area that will benefit from a little blue wash, creating that membrane effect. Beautiful. See that? You can see the whites of the eyes on that really, really pop that much more. Ooh, more hype. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. 6 whole viewers. We're nailing it tonight. Pretty excited about that. Oh. We're in yellow and we're back to green. Woo. Okay. So as we're waiting for that to dry, you know, if you guys got any questions so far on the dragon or the techniques, I'd be happy to answer them. Thoughts, ideas, anything I can do? No? Maybe? Okay. I'll wait for just a minute. I'll have a sip of my water. I'll have another bite of my cookie. Because we're waiting for paint to dry. All right. See if there's anything else I can touch up here while I'm at it. I think I'm good. So the next question is brown rocks or gray rocks? I'm thinking gray rocks. I think that would be more icy. I think brown rocks usually you don't find too much in cold climes, at least not stereotypically. I'm sure you find all kinds in cold climes. Really happy with how this has turned out so far, especially for a 3-hour job. We got another 30 minutes to go tonight, so we're going to be excitedly pumping out a whole bunch more as we go. Seeing the delay on our live stream as well, kind of excited to watch that too. Wow, about a 3-second delay. So. So for my 6 viewers right now, is there anything you'd like to see painted next? So much interaction. What have I got is not relevant. It's what do you guys want to see painted? I've got a couple of the different dragons. I got some spiders. I got boatloads of zombies. Those are all going to be painted. I've got various other miniatures I'm working on as well. Kind of excited to see how those come out. This particular model, I'm kind of excited to see what we can do with this one. It came from Massive Darkness set. and highly recommended to me by Urban Warfare. Urban Warfare just recently started following us, by the way. He's a really cool dude, and he knows his miniatures and he knows where to get good ones. So he recommended the kit, and it was spectacular choice, I might add. That is some kind of evil creature. That's all that needs to be said. I don't want to reveal what it is, just in case I have to use it on you guys at some point in show. But it is vile. And then, what else have I got? Rust monsters, thieves, rogues. I've got a ton of goblins and a ton of dwarves as well. Kind of excited to get those knocked out. All right, that should be long enough, I think, for what we need to do. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right. So what I'm going to do to start is I'm actually going to pull a very specific brown. Yeah, I think this is the one. This is leather brown, and this is a good base for most claws. But actually, now that I think about it, I think maybe Ice Storm Blue would be the better base for the claws. So I'm going to start with Ice Storm Blue. I'm going to water it down a smidge so it's nice and thin, at least the stuff I'm working with. And I'm going to hit all of the claws on this. And the purpose of that is to create a base color for the claws that I can then lighten up to white on the ends. And I'm just going to bust these out real fast. Doesn't usually take me too long to get these things knocked out. It's one of those things I can correct on the back end if I need to later on. And the goal is to just add a layer that then goes up from there. But what I don't want to do is create a layer that is just bright white. Now, in normal dragons, I would go with a brown, yellow, white combo. But I think I'm going to go with a blue to brain matter beige to white combo. See how well that works. Looks like it's working pretty good so far. This will also just allow me to use the time to also get stuff done before the eyes completely dry from the wash that we've used. I can't wait to do this show with guests and hear from them what they're excited about painting. I'm going for 3 for our premiere show. Rafe, thanks for asking. Because it's our premiere show, and gaming, the metrics aside, it puts us at over 8 hours for the week, which is one of our goals for this week, is to have over 8 hours of programming. So we're going to have 9 hours of programming this week and last week, and then from there we should be cooking on our way to affiliate. Gotta get these. Can't forget the wing claws. Is there a technical term for these? These aren't dew claws. What's the technical term? Wing hooks? Love this color. Sure, go ahead and paint forearms. This show to... No. This show at WMD will put us over 8 hours this week with last week's show counting towards the total for the month. So we got to do 8.5 hours in a 30-day period. We're trying to do 9 hours in less than 2 weeks, and then hopefully we'll have some more shows coming on here as we go. In the next week or two, we'll have a few more shows ready to go as well. I'm not going to say any more about that until we're certain those shows are ready for production. We didn't think we'd get this far this fast, but lo and behold, here we are. And you guys are helping us kill it. So thanks for being here today and supporting us. Your support does matter. Tell your friends. We'd love for them to be a part of the community. And we'd love to hear about their games as well. There we go. Okay. And that gave me just enough time to have the eyes, the wash in the eyes completely dry out. So now what we're going to do is we're going to shift over and we're going to hit the eyes. And to do that, we're going to swap over to what I call the highlighting brush. The highlighting brush is normally used for highlighting edges and stuff like that. In this particular instance, it's just perfect for adding a little bit of detail to the eyes. And we almost don't even have to, and we may not actually. Take a look-see. If you take a look, the way the eye is, because it was white in there in the first place, now that it got hit by the wash pools to the middle, or the dark, not the middle, but the dark recesses, and leaves the high points brighter. So as you can see a pinpoint of light there that's just almost perfect. I may not even hit that. Actually, I don't even see a point in hitting it with the void shield. It's absolutely stunning that way. And that's just white with blue wash. Huh, I'll have to take a look-see. I'll give that a minute longer, actually, and think about it. In the meantime, Let's take a look at Warlock Purple and Pixie Pink. There we go. Just a smidge of Warlock Purple because we're just doing a smidge inside the mouth here. Again, I'm going to go back to my highlighter brush. I'm going to tease out just a little bit of this pigment. I'm going to hit it with some water. Again, going for melted ice cream consistency. It's better to do 2 thin coats than 1 thick one. But you also don't want it too watery either, so learn the balance of that. There we go. There we go. What I'm going to do is I'm hitting the inside of the mouth with this, and our goal is to have it peek out the tongue in such a way that we are reminded that this is a living, breathing creature and not just an edifice of ice. I may have to hit some of the teeth again here. See the inside of the mouth there. That's the tongue, some of the gum line. And by having some of the blue underneath the webbing, or the stretchy parts of this area where the mouth separates, it also creates some amazing color gradients there too that I really like. Next up, we switch over to Pixie Pink for a slight highlight. Oopsie, we're going to need to shake this a little more. Now we'll need much of the Pixie Pink here. Pixie Pink is strictly for highlights. I'm going to swap over to the Precise Detail brush. Tease that out a bit, make sure I get the control I want on the paint. There we go. So I can just add a little bit to the sides of the tongue here. And right at the tip. the rest of it so much. And then I'm going to highlight the edge along the mouth here with it as well. Same on the other side here. There we go. There we go. Because I have so much Warlock purple still sitting out. See what I can do. Get some of that back in there. There we go. Waste not, want not. All right, and same with the nice storm blue here. Some heavy pigment. Oop, 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 oop. That was almost not worth it. Oh well. A little spill there. Alrighty. Yeah, it was. It's definitely like, you know, starting with, it comes in a very, very bright white model. With the particular plastics that Reaper uses tend to be a little bit more flexible. I think it's LDPE plastic. So it's bright. Hitting it with a gray really allowed me to get the recesses really with the shading that it needed to just start off with and layer up. And then, you know, already huge white dragon right here. But you can see the difference between the scales. You have all that. This is just one of several techniques to do a white dragon. It's pretty cool how, you know, everything can come together and create this effect. If there's a different way you'd like to see one done, we definitely would be happy to show you different methods and techniques. It's one of the exciting things we do here. And besides that, I got to paint up a ton of miniatures anyway, so it's no big deal to me. But we'll definitely be working on this more and more every day. So. Anything else, guys? We're in our final 10 minutes. I'd love to get your thoughts on anything else I can do to the model. About to hit the claws up here with braid matter beige and then layer up to whites. No? Maybe? Now I'm hitting the claws themselves. I'm edging them out with beige, matter white, and then the final edge from there will be a white color itself to make the claws actually a bright white. Everything goes well. And then we'll move on from there. But I still leave a hint of blue showing at the base where it's darker. Kind of shows the root of the claw. And in this case, it's okay if I'm a little messy by the rock. I can do some cleanup by the rock here later on as I finish off the model after we get done tonight. And for those worried about it, first thing I'll tell you is, every painter makes mistakes, but every painter knows how to hide those mistakes and clean them up. So it's okay to know that you can make mistakes while painting and handle it. I just made a mistake. You may or may not have caught it. If you didn't, hey, by the time this gets done, you'll never know. Was it the old adage, paint hides all sins? And well, guys, I'm just going to finish off the claws tonight. I really thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. If there's anything we can do to up the ante on the show, by all means, shoot us a message, jump in our Discord, give us some insight. Oh, side view camera from the right. Okay. Okay, yeah, I could swap that out maybe with a forward camera here looking at my face so you can see what I'm doing. But I think top right would be good. That would be good. All right. Thank you very much, Ari Denton. So guys, I really can't thank you enough for watching me paint this. Hopefully I can show you some techniques that have been useful. And you can see how fast it is to paint up a large signature piece like this to a good standard and make it work well. It's just one of those great pieces that really has a lot of charm to it if you do it right. We'll put some pictures up in our Discord and on Twitter so you can see what the final product looks like when we get done. And hopefully you guys are excited to see it when we're ready for it. So again, jump in our Discord anytime. Ask us any questions you want. Glad to have you. And see you again soon. If you get the idea. Anyway, Thursday, 7 to 10 Eastern Standard Time, Whiskey, Magic, and Destruction, our live play for D&D, will be showing. Be sure and check us out. Talk to you soon. See you next Monday.